Welcome to week 2 of the CYBERISLE webinars, and I hope you have enjoyed all the webinars to date. My name is Brian Beasley, and I'm currently the Senior Manager and Service Line Lead for Cybersecurity, Privacy and Digital at KPMG on the Isle of Man. I've been asked to give you a short webinar today on some considerations in the new era as we continue to face the challenges of the pandemic and have staff working from home and or accessing remotely. 2020 has been a year for change, of disruption, and a time for many people and organisations to reflect, reorg, and as required, take a different tack from the years before. There have certainly been significant changes thrust upon us all, and from various angles and at varying pace. But all in all, I'd say we have done very well to weather what we have so far. Not only are we working differently by ways of location and by differing means, we are also continuously more alert and on guard in case another event comes to surprise us. The medium to long-term effects of the pandemic are still trickling out and having their impact. Plus, a large number of us still have staff in dispersed, different working environments such as their homes. We all know that there are risks out there and that this isn't the end of the challenge we are dealing with, but so do the nefarious actors out there, and they will keep trying to take advantage of our respective eyes and ears being averted from the ball by dealing with the noise of the present and dealing with the crocodiles nearest the canoe. First wave of COVID may have figuratively passed now for most of us. However, it will or may not have passed for your clients, your vendors, your third-party suppliers, and the global market you may be operating within. Maybe they are still deep in the effects of the first wave and now preparing for wave 2 to arrive. Ultimately, everything we do and how we do them has changed. We need to be able to sustain our recovery position from now on, prepare for the potential necessity to respond again, and also in the end, keep our business operations going. The new ways of working adopted during the lockdown period are still effective and still being utilised by some companies. Some of us have returned to our workplaces on the island, whilst some of our sister companies, remote employees and third parties remain in lockdown in other countries. How have we adapted? Principally with greater use of digital solutions. This is excellent. We can all see the seamless benefits of a digital solution, the efficiencies it brings, the ability to work from anywhere at any time and with anyone. Yet, as we leapt to keep our operations going, did we also take time to review the bigger picture when doing so? How many of us can hands on heart say we stepped back and helicoptered over the situation to see all pertinent aspects? If you did, then excellent. If not, don't panic, there is still time to take remedial actions. A great remedy is to check your current situation and review the activities of the prior months. Digital solutions have allowed for the employees to be entrusted with your day-to-day operational deliverables effectively. But it may have been for many like riding a bike at first. A bit wobbly, a bit nervous, a bit anxious. Do we trust our staff to be effective? We must get our staff working so to provide them with the solutions they need. We must keep the revenue flowing, etc., etc. Does this sound familiar? Yet, in doing this, did we all take into consideration the technical and oversight requirements fully? Did we look at the wider security piece? Did we look at our obligations and requirements under privacy regulations, for example? Did we consider these aspects for all of those elements we rely upon to operate, our third-party vendors, suppliers, and staff themselves? Did you or your peers experience any security issues? Did you or your peers find gaps in your capability delivery? Were you one of the victims of the nefarious wolves preying on those with their attention averted? But being under threat and having the potential to be subjected to attack is not you. Yet, over the year to date, a number of threats, both old and new, were both prevalent and active. There was an actual increase in the number of attacks by cyber criminals and state-sponsored activities. Some of the classic attack types and styles were rebranded to feed on the fear of the masses in the new environment. They took advantage of this buzz and fear. DOS attacks with ransom requests occurred. Impersonation and manipulation of potential weaknesses were done through pretending to be healthcare providers, charities, and the like. A business would typically have appropriate controls, policies, procedures, and enterprise management in place, tracking these threats, the risks, and any known vulnerabilities. Plus, didn't we train our staff in the preceding 12 months? However, as we all went home and worked as normal from diverse assets, corporate and non-corporate, and as we readily adopted new unproven technology solutions, for example Zoom, and we focused on ensuring delivery for our customers, did we actually secure our employees' home networks? Did we retrain or refresh them on the threats that were out there? Did we step up our monitoring and analysis of the current threat vectors and data traffic going across our corporate networks? We probably did in part. Maybe we didn't straight away. We may have done some, but I would be very impressed if this has been done fully and on a continuous basis. It is exhausting and places a large burden on the IT and security teams out there. We can all plan and do tabletop exercises, craft extensive policies and procedures, but an old adage from my previous career is no plan survives contact. Or in essence, you never know your enemy fully. So how do you truly know what they will do at the point of action? And therefore, do you really know what you have in your capability toolset to offset their activities? So some key areas with risks and controls for your consideration. And I know you've probably heard all these before, but they are pertinent. Wave 1 may have begun for us, but will there be a wave 2? Do we have the key personnel to sustain our tempo? Do we have employees still overseas accessing remotely? Are our staff working from home on a daily or frequent basis? Or are you back in your facilities full time now? Have you taken the proper time to take stock, reflect, and do that root cause analysis on any issues or failings that occurred? Reviewed those new misses? Revised the policies, procedures, and any associated controls appropriately? We all hear constantly about how remote access is necessary and that we must ensure it is secure. This is critical. No doubt about that. And so ensure your staff are using VPNs when working remotely, but also ensure they're using the right one and that the VPN is being managed appropriately by your security teams. Where you have sensitive, high value or crucial tasks that need to be undertaken, then apply additional controls as necessary for these, such as multi-factor authentication and enforce segregation of duties to not allow simple yet expensive mistakes to occur. There is a fundamental reliance on collaboration tools, Box, Skype, Teams, etc. These are readily available and easily deployed. But have you and your security teams properly evaluated the settings and options within them to ensure they are enabling secure, efficient working? Can you confidently say that they are set up correctly to limit spalling or seeping of data? Where possible, use the thick client versions. They may cost more, but they do offer greater security and assurances. Does the cost outweigh what a fine from a breach may ultimately cost you for using a cheaper version? Keep this in mind. What end user devices are your staff using? Their own with a corporate overlay, or are they corporate devices as issued? Do your staff have the appropriate skills, knowledge, and ability to maintain the security on their personal devices? Or are you supporting them and reviewing the configuration and status of their personal machines? If not, it may be time to consider enhancing their awareness and supporting them ensuring their assets are correctly configured, or even considering the application and issuance of corporate machines. Some things to consider that on all devices, some key things are enforce a basic security configuration, maintain an up-to-date virus protection, implement automated patching and updating, install automated backup solutions, and also make sure staff have refreshed training on the latest threats and techniques that they may be subjected to. Another key area to look at is your suppliers and vendors. Learn from the events this year, review your contracts, revisit your SLAs, ensure you're getting the service you have contracted for and by when. At the end of the day, your vendors and suppliers are just as susceptible as you to the events of the day. Can they operate and enable your operations? Do you have a ready list of alternative suppliers? Make information security, privacy, and information governance a standard agenda item and topic at the board. Appoint, if necessary, a Chief Information Security Officer, a CISO, or subcontract for one if you need it. Ultimately, the board level must be able to point to its critical assets, understand how they link to your operational processes, and know what controls you have in place and are they effective. Review, revise, and maintain your risk registers. Look to those spurious and not so normal risks that may be there with staff now being remote from your organization. Ensure you have fraud and information security aligned. Your organization will be confronted with these issues. Address the fraud risks, particularly understand the root cause of the fraud and apply appropriate controls to manage, measure, and mitigate. In concluding today's webinar, I'd just like to reiterate that there are a couple of solutions and services available to enable a business to work remotely, digitize its processes, and provide enablement in the delivery of your business deliverables. Preserve your operational resilience now and into the future. Review your current state, revise your approaches, test them and test them again. Ensure you know your risks, your controls, and keep abreast of the threats and issues looming on the horizon. But with any solution you choose or any approach you take, make sure you pick the right ones. Make sure you truly understand the security aspects, the privacy controls, and how they integrate into your corporate systems and network. End of the day, do testing, do deep dives, run virtual environments and sandboxes on new configurations. There may be a slight delay in implementing the solution, but the delay may actually save you from falling over and suffering catastrophic consequences. Thanks for listening, and I do hope the webinar has offered you some points for consideration. Many thanks and take care.